really excited for us to be here and looking at the largest potential biogas markets with big biogas potential and have such a fantastic panel of speakers to talk to us about them. So as we've been a bit late getting mic'd up, I'm going to get us straight on to hearing from our speakers who's going to tell us about these respective markets. And I'm delighted in the first instance to have with us, all the way from Brazil, Gabriel Kropsch, Vice President of ABiogas, which is the Brazilian Biogas Association. So, Gabriel, over to you.
Thank you so much. Okay, shall I go there?
Yeah, if you like.
Okay. Let's see. All right. Well, first, Charlotte, thanks so much for having us. I think this is an intention we've had for a long time. We've been working together with WBA and ADBA since 2018. And every year we bring more people. Last year we're 3 Brazilians. This year we're 10. So next year I hope we can bring more people from Brazil. Well, the first thing, I was very frustrated this morning with Tim Gould's speech from EIA. And I don't know how many of you guys were here, but he showed one graph with the potential production of biogas and biomethane in the USA and Europe, and then another graph with the potential of biogas and biomethane in China, and then everybody else like this big. So guys, we got to change that slide for next year. I'm not only the Brazilians, but everybody from the emerging markets. I'm pretty sure that I want to prove Tim wrong, which is going to be tough because he's a very smart guy. But at least our part from Brazil, we're going to show you guys that the potential is gigantic. So ABiogas is the Brazilian Biogas Association. We've been active in the market since 2013. So this is our 10th year, actually. And I mean, all this material is public, so you can take pictures if you like, but it's all available online. And if you want, also, you can contact us. I'll send it to you. But the idea is that biogas and biomethane were virtually non-existent in Brazil 10 years ago. A couple of companies were trying to figure out how to do biogas, how to do biomethane, when 2 guys came to my office and they said, look, we're setting up a biogas association. Do you want in? And I was already, since 2008, trying to develop biogas and biomethane projects. And we couldn't go anywhere. Said, oh yes, let's figure out a way to make this happen. So we started the association in 2013 with 3 companies. And now we are more than 140 companies from all links of the biogas and biomethane supply chain. So residue producers, property owners, biodigester developers, equipment manufacturers, biomethane upgrade, power generation, transportation. So everybody together trying really to make biogas happen. I loved your slogan for this year. And I mean, large companies, small companies, Brazilian companies, foreign companies, everybody's welcome. And the idea is that we try to figure out what binds us, what brings us together, and what is necessary to make biogas happen in Brazil. So the first thing that's very important, everybody says that, oh, Brazil has a very clean energy matrix. That is not true. That is not true. Brazil has a relatively clean electric matrix. But electricity accounts for less than 20% of final energy consumption in Brazil. So it's really not that relevant. 55% of our energy use comes from fossil fuels. So, and we are going in the wrong direction. We hear a lot in Brazil about solar and wind projects, which are great, and they have been growing a lot. But the market also has been growing. And this is a challenge for a developing nation and a huge nation such as Brazil. So if the country begins, and we hope the country begins to grow again, we had a last very tough years in terms of GDP growth, but if the country resumes its path to economic growth and to include more people in our population in the consumption of energy, we're going to have a real problem because we don't have where to source this energy. So we're going to have to resort to fossil fuels all over. And biogas is already a reality in Brazil. It's not new. The first projects were developed in the 1970s, 1980s, but in the last few years has been growing a lot. There are 800 AD plants in Brazil. Out of these 800, 400, I'm not going to say that out loud, 400 just flare the biogas. It's absurd. We saw this morning that everybody was saying, you cannot flare biogas, not in the world today. And not only for environmental reasons, but for purely economic and social reasons as well, to maintain the population in their original regions. So at least 400 of these AD plants already take advantage of the biogas and produce power. The majority of them are small, below 1 megawatt, but there are quite a few big plants of 20 and even 30 megawatts. And the same goes to biomethane. Biomethane is very new in Brazil. Our regulation about biomethane dates back to 2017, and that was only a partial regulation. The full regulation only came online in 2018 and 19. And that's the federal regulation. Then we have all the state regulations that have to already come online. And the market is growing. So now we have 5 production units in Brazil, biomethane production units, 2 of which are here represented, and they're going to show you how they've done and what they've done. But also, this year, we have already quite a few of them coming online. These are ready to fire. They're just waiting the last permits. And we're going to be about 700,000 cubic meters a day of biomethane. The majority of that goes into transportation fuel, but some of which are already injected in the grid. And we're going to see a very interesting project in a few minutes. But the potential is huge. We already have mapped, and this is only the companies that are members of the association. We have already mapped more than 40 projects in the next few years that will come online, and the objective is that in a few years will be almost 3 million cubic meters a day. Remember that the total potential for biogas in Brazil equates to 120 million cubic meters a day of biomethane. 120 million cubic meters. So we are really scratching the surface. Charlotte mentioned this morning that the UK uses 15% of their biogas potential. In Brazil, we are less than 2%. So if we can go to 15, that will be fantastic. Our plan is that until 2030, we'll be able to produce the equivalent of 30 million cubic meters a day of biomethane. So, as I said, it's only 2%. There's a huge potential. It's a very steep growth, but we are confident that not only because of the number of new plants, but the sizes of these new plants, the scale in Brazil is huge. We are talking about an average of between 30 and 50,000 cubic meters a day. We're going to see here projects that are much, much larger than this, which are a reality. One important aspect about Brazil is that 100% of the biogas in Brazil is produced from waste. So there are no energy crops, and therefore we have a very low carbon intensity. We already have a national scheme for calculation of carbon intensity. It is not a total lifetime scheme yet. We're aiming to go to that direction, but it's already a huge decrease, especially when replacing fossil fuels. So there are many policies that are now either under works or ready to be done, and we hope that in the near future, all these different new policies will also motivate and incentivize companies to invest in Brazil and to develop this market. It's a huge market. It is 120 billion liters of fossil fuels per year. That is the size of the market. 50% of that is diesel fuel. the majority for transportation, trucks and buses. But this is only one application. There are many applications for biogas and biomethane in Brazil, being such a gigantic country with such a diverse industry as well. So just one point that we've touched a lot this morning as well, and yesterday in terms of transportation, the economics for replacing diesel fuel by biomethane in Brazil are excellent, not only from the environmental side, obviously, but also from the economic side. And that, as Charlotte also mentioned, does not take into account the valorization of the environmental attribute of biomethane. So when this comes online, it will be even better. So I invite everybody to come to the Brazilian Biogas Association website, to follow us on social media, look me up on LinkedIn. I'm always there telling what's happening, what's new. And last but not least, please come to São Paulo in autumn this year, where we're going to have a huge show. It's going to be our 10th anniversary, and we're going to make a huge show, a congress, in partnership with the WBA. So I really hope to see everybody in São Paulo later this year. Thank you so much, guys.
Great. Oh, that was excellent, Gabriel. Wonderful to see, hear about so much potential and have such a positive story. So, really exciting.
It's only the beginning.
So exciting. Great. So, and now we have a great case study, as I understand it. So, André de Silva, would you like to come and tell us about your case study in Brazil? You are Operations and Business Development Director of Cocal.
Yes.
So please, come and tell us about it.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I would like to present the first case that we will show from Brazil. This first case is about agro-industria, sugar energy sector. So we are GM and Cocal case. We will show you the business model that we developed 3 years ago that is working right now. To start, and the schedule of this presentation, basically we open 2 different items. The first one is talk a little bit the potential sugar market sector in Brazil, and how can we use our waste to produce biogas, to produce biomethane and bioelectricity. And secondly, show to Cocal and GL case what we have already done and what we intend to do in the next steps. So about our numbers, so we are from sugar energy market. So in my case, we have a sugar mill, and in Brazil we have 360 units where can crush over there 600 million tons of sugar cane. That gives us 40 billion as revenue, and more than 700,000 people are working in this sector. Basically, and historically, we produce sugar, we produce ethanol, and we produce bioelectricity. From sugar, almost 30 million tons of sugar per year or per crop we produce. That gives us the second largest produce in the world. From ethanol, we produce 35 billion liters of ethanol per crop. That gives us the second world producers. And also, we produce bioelectricity, consume our biomass, our bagasse, in our boilers. So traditionally, this is the scenario that you used to have. And what we are doing right now is use the waste from this production and convert this waste in biogas and bioelectricity and biomethane as well. This is important to highlight the metrics that we have in our sector. So as we can see in this slide, 45% of Brazil matrix is coming from renewable sources. 30% of this is coming from our sector. So if you compare this with world or Europe, we can understand how Brazil is getting best and best in terms of energy production. And part of this energy is coming from, traditionally, from sugar energy market. And it's very important to show also you the land use fields. So in Brazil, we have almost 850 million hectares that give us 100% of what we have. 65%, 66% of this land, there is no production, zero production. What we produce, we consume is 30% of our land. From this 30%, 21% is pasture, 8% is agriculture, and just 1% we produce sugarcane. So all this sugar and ethanol that we show in previous slides, we use just 1% of our area. How can we increase? We have two bottlenecks to increase. The first one is increase the productivity at the same area that you already have. For example, in our company, we have 150,000 hectares, and we increased in the last 40 years 15% of our productivity using the same area. The secondly is going to pasture. So we have 21% of our area in pasture. There is no technology. So if we increase technology in pasture, we can open space to increase sugarcane or grains. So the message is there is no production in native area, and we will keep like this, as we can see in this next slides. Here, just to show where we are. So São Paulo states, the most important point, more than 50% of sugar energy production are in São Paulo state, and we are so far away from Amazon forest. So there is no production of sugarcane or either other culture in this area, because we have a lot of area available, as we show you in the previous slides. And with all of this waste, how can we produce, or how many we can produce from biogas and from biomethane? So if we split just the sugar energy market, and we have there vinasse, we have filter cake, we have bagasse, and we have straw. If we take 100% of this waste and convert it in biogas and bioelectricity, we can reach 20 giga-hour energy as capacity. That can give us 93% of São Paulo state consumption, residential consumption. Or if we go to biomethane, consider this raw material as well, we can reach 70% of our diesel consumption, or 8% of natural gas consumption. So just to give you the potential of this sector, how can we achieve in terms of numbers. Let's talk a little bit about our case, Cocal and Gel case. So Cocal Gel is a joint venture, two companies. First company is Cocal, that produce sugar from sugar cane, sugar and ethanol, and also Gel Biotech that provide us, is our partner in terms of technology. So Cocal, we are a national group. We produce sugar cane, we produce sugar, ethanol, electricity power, yeast, biogas, biomethane in two plants, Narandiba Mill and Paraguaçu Paulista Mill. So actually we have 142,000 hectares that give us an amount of more or less 2 million tons of cane to be produced, and with this we can reach this amount of production. Actually, we produce 33 million cubic meter of biogas per crop. And Gel Biogas Tech is also a company that's part of this joint venture. Gel is the leader in biogas project market in Brazil. Actually, Gel operates three different plants in different states, and us also are developing additional three companies. So it's more than 10 years. And also Gel has a R&D center in Londrina that's developed the technology to produce both. So it's important to highlight that we can produce 12 months per year. Why? Because we have the solid waste and we have liquid waste. So with liquid waste, we produce in season period, and with the solid waste, that's filter cake, we can store it and produce in 3 months that we are not in produce. So 12 months of production per year. This is our float. So basically we have sugar cane here, where we produce sugar and ethanol, and we have the subproduct, filter cake and vinasse. This filter cake and vinasse we send to our biogas plants nearby us, and especially the vinasse, 1.5 million tons of vinasse per year, and also the filter cake that we store to inter-season period. After that, we produce biogas, and this biogas, we have two final products. 47% of our biogas we convert in electricity, and we sell it in the grid. And 53% of this biogas we convert in biomethane, and we have a pipe that sends this biomethane from our company up to 3 cities nearby us. And also, we have some carrier where we compressor it and send directly to some industry that consume our product. Also, we have a CO2 food grade plant that produce from this CO2 in upgrading system. And all, everything that we, the waste of biodigesters, we back to sugarcane as a biofertilizer. So this is additional benefit that we have because we have the sugarcane. We need to back these biofertilizers to our sugarcane plantation. So basically, this is the picture of our facility. Basically, we have filter cake in the solid part and 2 biodigesters to produce this, and vinasse part with 4 lagoons. After that, or we produce bioelectricity, or we produce biomethane in our upgrading system. It's very important to highlight that we can, with this project, we can reduce CO2 emission as well. Why? Because we are using the biomethane to convert our diesel, because we are using the biofertilizers to reduce our fossil fertilizers. With this, we have this circular economy. We understand from the sugar cane, we can have a lot of products. We can have sugar, ethanol, we can have bioelectricity, and now biogas. And we intend to keep develop this sector because we understand that the sugar cane has a lot of energy, and we can convert this energy in a lot of different kinds of products. And to finalize my presentation, this is our target, to reduce the carbon footprint in our chain. So if you compare with gasoline is our main traditional fuel in Brazil, when we go to a sugarcane plant without biogas, we reduce 6% just produce ethanol. When you produce ethanol, additional biogas, using just our waste, we can reduce additional 26% and reach 15 grams of CO2 per mega. And in the next step, what we intend to do, to consume all the waste that we have in our region, so we can reach almost zero in terms of CO2 emissions when we use our facilities also to receive other kind of manners. So this is our presentation. I would like to, again, thank you for the opportunity to come here, and let's discuss. Maurício, please. Thank you.
That's excellent, thank you. If it's okay with everybody, I'm proposing that we go through all the presentations and then allow you the chance to ask questions afterwards, because I'm sure you're building them up and have lots of them. So now we're going to hear from Maurício Carvalho, who is the founding partner of Gas Verde. So please come and
thank you very much.
Talk to us.
So first, thank you all for being here. Thank you for the opportunity. Very nice to meet you. First time I come for the World Biogas Summit, and so we are very impressed. So we have a holding company specialized in environmental, investment in gas, biomethane, biogas, and energy, but with environmental concern. So today we are the biggest biomethane producer in Brazil through our company Gas Verde. We also have a company named Eva Energia, which produces energy from biogas in landfills and in agriculture, from swine production, rejects from swine production with biodigesters. We have Urcagas, which is our natural gas and biomethane distributor. And we have Urca Trading, which is our power trading desk for the trading energy on the spot market in Brazil, as well as carbon credits. So we are a group very much committed to the ESG agenda. So we are today certified as a great place to work. We are signatory of the Global Compact. We are very concerned about the social angle of the business as well. So we have a pipeline of projects and a pipeline of social projects attached to where we are going to stay. So we are very concerned of impacting the surroundings. Right now, it's the first time we talk about this publicly because we just did an acquisition. We are completing an acquisition on the next few weeks. So we today produce 1.5 million BTU of biogas, actually biogas monthly. So we use cubic meters more. So I can tell you that today we produce 1.4 million cubic meters of biogas a day. And of those, we produce 130,000 cubic meters of biomethane a day. You will see some pictures. And we also produce 73 megawatts of power from biogas. So our plan is to convert those 73 megawatts of biogas into biomethane. So our plan is to build 12 new plants, new biomethane plants on the next 2.5 years. So we will reach 700,000 cubic meters a day in 2.5, 3 years in Brazil. Also, we are building a green CO2 plant for 100 tons a day in Rio de Janeiro. So this in the picture in the middle is our biomethane plant, currently in operation in Brazil. So in the left, on the right as well, are power plants in landfills producing energy from biogas. So we have today 12 plants like this that we are going to convert into biomethane plants. This is one of our trucks with the CNG trailer. So right now our logistics is based in CNG trucks. We don't have pipelines yet, but we plan to have in some of the plants. So you see that some of our gas delivery trucks are already fueled by biomethane with Scania trucks, right? So I'm going to be very short. There's a video here showing a case that we developed a project with a brewery in Brazil from InBev, where we reduced 80% of their emissions. And if someone could play the video, please. This is our plant. Today we have a fleet of 44 trailers in operation. So, from an investment perspective, what I can say is that our group, today we are over 200 people involved in the biogas and biomethane chain. So I can tell you that we are very proud of what we are doing, because not just we're building a business that is profitable, and but it impacts the surroundings, impacts the country, and impacts the planet. So we are very proud of this industry. We want to grow a lot, and thank you all for your contribution for the industry and for the technologies available. Thank you very much.
Well, I have to say, Brazil team, because I think we should refer to you as the Brazil team. That was a fantastically exciting presentation, and I can see why all of you have stayed behind for this final session of the summit, because boy, does that sound wonderfully exciting.
Yeah.
So 3 cheers for that. And Raghu and Shantanu, you are now under pressure when it comes to presenting the India market. So I think we have first Shantanu Gupta, who I had the pleasure to meet when I went to India Energy Week last month. Indian Oil is the largest biogas producer in India, as far as I'm aware. But let's hear from Shantanu, and I'm delighted to have you with us, Shantanu. So
yeah, thank you, Charlotte. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, and delighted to see you. Looking forward to seeing you again in May. But now, talk to us about what you're doing in India, because we've got a fantastic audience here who can't wait to hear.
Very nice, very nice. Thank you, Charlotte, for inviting me here, and it's a privilege to speak here in the World Biogas Summit. It's really a position which I will like to say that India is doing across all the segments, and there is a whole lot of support by the government of India to progress on this, especially keeping in the view the net zero commitment by our Honorable Prime Minister by 2070. So we'll start my presentations. Please, next slide, please. This is brief of the company, our company, Indian Oil Corporations Limited, which is the largest oil conglomerate in the country. And we are putting across 9 refineries, and all the data are available. We have 35,000 retail outlets which are selling product across the country, and 11,000 on the rural areas. And then we have a huge customer footfall every day. We are leading the 32% of refining capacity. So oil and gas is our main foray, and we have started traveling towards green energies long back from 2001-2, and then ethanol blending. Then we started biodiesel blending. Then we approached compressed biogas under SATA scheme, which started from 2018. Next slide, please. So this is the transition happening. As we all know, we are all concerned, and also we are equally worried about how to take our planet through in this transition period, so that the planet maintains its health and the whole population on the earth remains safe, especially for the younger generations who are having a whole life pending here. So they should be given an appropriate opportunity to live peacefully and healthy. Next, please. So this is what as a country, our primary energy consumptions into the tune of 24 million metric ton of oil equivalent. And also, if you see the shifting happening, from today, we have a 5 category: oil, natural gas, coal, nuclear, and hydro. And then comes renewable. So the shift by 2050 net zero scenario, you can see the green bar: oil, natural gas, coal, nuclear, hydro, and then renewables. Renewables is going to take the maximum share out of the energy pie, which is obvious. And then the changes are also occurring, and the policy modulation by the government of India has already started from the recent budget announcement. So CBG and compressed biogas is getting a priority here, and also the use of biomass and all the waste, etc., for this production. Next, please. This is what climate commitment of Government of India we have done as a country. We always tell this Panchamrit, the 5 major announcements. The first one is 500 gigawatt of renewable energy capacities by 2030, 50% of energy requirements from renewable energy by 2030, reduce total projected carbon emission by 1 billion tons from now onwards till 2030, reduce carbon intensity for the economy less than 45% of by 2030, base year is 2005, and achieve net zero by 2070. These are the directions we are approaching to make our country's environment clean, and this will also give an impact on socio-economic development. Next, please. This is where the compressed biogas, I will not spend much time here because as the audience you all know, that everything starting from cow dungs, then crop waste, then food waste, and any other waste, and sugarcane waste like pressed mud or filter cake, all those things are through anaerobic digestion process. Biogas is prepared, and then we remove CO2, which is an organic CO2, and then the methane content, which are increased to 90% plus as per Indian standard, and then it is used as an automobile fuel and also as well as the industry fuel. And the part of digested, which comes out of that, which we tell it here, fermented organic manure, which is a very good organic fertilizers, which goes to the field. Next, please. This is the specification we maintain here in the country. Minimum methane is 90%, maximum carbon dioxide is 4%, and nominal sulfur 20 ppm and moisture also 5, and the combination of CO2, nitrogen and oxygen max is 10%, and oxygen individually maximum is 0.5%. So this is Indian standard, which was published in 2016 to control the CBG specifications. Next, please. Yeah, this is where the potential of our country is. There is abundance of feedstock. As we all know, we are 1.4 billion population, and the agriculture residue is 18 million metric ton. CBG have potential from the agriculture residue. If you see this, whatever the agriculture residue is being burnt here, as we all see that during the harvesting season, because there is a lack of use and supply chain for agri residue. So some part of the India, it's facing a lot of pollution out of that. Government has taken a very serious action on this, and we are trying to have a total use of this agriculture residue, and we are going to stop burning fully. Cattle dung, chicken litters, around 12 million metric ton potential of CBG. Like this, press mud, pentoas, these are bagas, which are sugarcane plants. And then forest residue and municipal solid waste, which is very important for keeping the cities clean. And then prospective energy crops, if we combine, we have a 60 million metric ton equivalent of biogas production capacity in the country, which we have started in 2018 in a larger scale, and the journey has begun. Next, please. This is the target we have taken, 5,000 plants, which will be producing 15 million metric ton per annum, which is only 25% of total waste available in the country. And we are going to mitigate 50 million metric ton CO2 by through this production of 15 million metric ton of compressed biogas. And organic manure will producing around 50 million metric ton per annum, which will improve the soil health and also the health of the population by reducing chemical fertilizer use. This is a journey. In 2022, we have 45 commissioned plants and another 60 plants work in progress. So this is going to take a jump in another 2 to 3 years. We are expecting we will be reaching around 1,000 plus plant by 2026-27. and then we'll travel towards 5,000 plants with the all policy intervention which is going to underway as of now. Next, please. This is the impact of Satat scheme, which is sustainable alternative towards affordable transportation. This is a flagship program launched by Government of India, and all the oil companies, oil and gas companies and corporates are participating in this program. Individually, we are also developing plans, and also through entrepreneurs, this model is being taken forward. This have a multiplier effect. We know the net zero emission we will achieve from here. Atmanirbhar Bharat, which is basically self-reliance of the country. Swachh Bharat mission, which is nothing but the keeping the cities clean. Doubling farmers' income, which is very important because farming community will not only get for agriculture produce, but from the agriculture waste. And we have other Krishi Vikas Yojana, because having an agrarian society, we have full focus on the farmers, and so that the benefits can be transmitted towards that community. Next, please. This is a map. You can see the country, the red dots, which are showing the letter of intents. Like one letter of intent means one plant. This is where 4,175 entrepreneurs have been allotted letter of intents to develop the plants. And the whole capacity so far, when these plants will come, it will be equivalent to 10 million metric ton per annum. So there is an effort to have a better finance, low-cost financing, and also to arrangement of the fertilizer offtake, that is organic fertilizer offtake, so that it takes a full equilibrium and all plants come together. The efforts are continuously monitored on this issue. Next, please. These are the current plants. You can see over the map of the country. The north, south, and west are covered. East, there are plants are coming up, and this will be spread across the country within another 2 to 3 years' time. Next, please. Few of the photographs which have been already established plant here. We are supplying compressed biogas and fueling the transport sectors, all the automobiles, and also supplying to some of the industries who are using biogas for their as a furnace, and also for other process requirement. Next, please. We have already developed 100% cattle dung based CBG plant at one of our state in the Rajasthan, Jaipur, the capital of the Rajasthan. That is 100,000 metric ton per day. The cattle dung is being processed, and the gas coming out of that is being used as a cooking fuel, where the midday meals are being served to the children. And also the part of that is being used for the vehicle, and the organic farming, the biomanure coming out of that, this we use as a organic farming in that area. So this is touching all the societies, all the important areas of societies. And another such plants we are developing in another city in the Gwalior. So that will also come by early next year. Next, please. This is one of our plants which Indian Oil is developing in Gorakhpur in the state of Uttar Pradesh, which will be processing 200 ton per day of paddy straw, 10 ton per day of cattle dung, and 20 ton per day of press mud. This is one of the first of its kind of mixed feedstock, and we will be producing 20,000 ton of compressed biogas, 20 ton per day of compressed biogas. And we are also evacuating through our retail stations, and injection of pipeline will also be explored. And this is our technology. Our R&D team has developed this technology. This will be commercialized. Next, please. This is where I discussed with Charlotte the FOM, that fermented organic manure. It was when she was there, when we met in the city of Bangalore in the India Energy Week. The evacuation of FOM is a challenge for us as of now. That is what is becoming the area of concern. But yes, we have discussed with the fertilizer team, And thanks, Charlotte, for arranging that meeting with your UK team. We got a lot of leads out of that. And also, the government is very seriously considering blending of this organic manure with chemical fertilizers. We have started field trials with
What?
will help condition the soil by using this organic manure and enrich the soil so that over a period of time you can get a better of soil efficiencies. That is what the study is going on, and the problem of water evacuation, we are very hopeful that shortly we will be able to start selling in a bulk of this important manure. Next, please. So what we require now, if the international community is here, so our appeal is India, we are giving an opportunity to technology trials. We are ready to go for any marketing agencies who can, we are willing to try here. And we have started the technology transfer also. We have the German company who has bought their technology. We are in touch with a company in France. So we are also trying to get upgraded technology for CO2 capture so that the organic CO2 can be utilized. And we need financing because, you know, the green financing, the cost of finance, low cost green financing, it will help this whole infrastructure to grow at a very faster rate. And carbon credits and carbon trading also is one of the very important area where this type of, you know, plants will get a lot of support from financially. So this will create the whole ecosystem and infrastructures in future to be a leader in this CBG productions for the country. Yes. And this is what, as a company, Indian Oil, we are targeting 2046, and we have already declared the net zero operational emission by 2046. Our chairman has already announced this, and we have charted the pathway where CBG is playing a very vital role, apart from other biofuel initiatives and renewable energy initiatives. So I'll stop here. Thank you very much again for patient listening.
Thank
And
you.
I'm open for any questions as per your time slots. Thanks a lot, Shweta. Thanks a lot.
Wonderful, Shantanu. So thank you very much, Shantanu. Please stay with us. We're going to have Raghu's presentation, and then I will open up the floor to questions. But that was really very fascinating indeed. So Raghu, I also had the pleasure of meeting you for the first time in India. Anyway, you're the founder of, and CEO of KISS Group, and I will let you.
Thank you so much,
Get
Charlotte, and it's a pleasure to be here. I'll quickly start with my presentation. And as my fellow speaker has spoken up, Indonesia and India are the largest two countries in the world in terms of population and potential. So what is happening in Indonesia is going to be one of the leaders in this business for energy transition. Just a quick about us, we are 17 years old, and we have all the track record in the last 17 years to do the projects. And as you can see, we are producing 1 million metric cube biogas per day, and one of the largest in Asia, 2.9 million carbon credits per year. And we are in 7 countries already. And some unique projects in Asia for biogas and biomethane and biofertilizer. And as you can see, this is the first project in Asia wherein we are producing granular type biomanure. I think everybody knows that, you know, biofertilizer is a byproduct of any biogas plant. How do you add value? So by making it granular type, it's highly preferred by farmers because it has got very good impact on soil and also productive yield. So it's the first project in Asia with cow dung, what you call animal manure, to produce, of course, we produce power and also burn biogas in the boiler. And we are selling it in packages for the farmers, and there is huge demand. And in this project, it is surprising that we get 70% revenue from biofertilizer and 30% from biomethane. And the contrary, all biomethane projects earn 70% from biomethane and 30% from other products. But here's reversal is happening now because biofertilizer is taking a center stage. And biomethane is becoming a byproduct in terms of commercial values. So it is very important how do you derive value from your fertilizer sectors. And this is also another first of its kind project in Asia, wherein the biogas is produced in the backyard and dispensed in the front yard. As you can see there, we have dispenser there, and we have liquid fertilizer as well as same biocompost. You do it here. Same 60% revenue come from biomanure and 30% from biomethane. 3 years back, just opposite. 3 years back when it started, it was 70% from biomethane revenue and 30% biofertilizer. We started making more validation to the biofertilizer. So any biomethane plant going forward, because food is more important than fuel. So organic farming is getting more demand. So any country looking at organic farming, they would need this purely organic fertilizer. So how to make it more validation is the key now. And this is also another project, first of its kind in the world maybe. As you can see, we are supplying around 700 homes in the housing complex through a piped biomethane. So new housing complex is built, wherein all the houses in the housing complex will be getting a piped biomethane. So no LPG. So they will dispose their waste to the nearby AD, and we produce biomethane and we're piping it through the homes. And of course, here also is a granule type fertilizer, and biomethane, compressed biomethane is made and sold to the industries in the tankers. Now, coming to the Unilever story, how they are achieving net zero. I think we all know Unilever is one of the responsible companies in the world, and they have declared publicly that by 2036, they'll net zero. And in year 2020, they appointed us to do a feasibility on how they can become net zero. Unilever has the largest factory in the world in Indonesia. So largest footprint for them is in Indonesia. So they wanted to achieve their net zero first in Indonesia. And we did a feasibility study for them. And it was found out that only biomethane can get them net zero. If you go for biomass, it can only get 85% net zero. So to really achieve replacing fossil fuel is possible only with biomethane. So we did a feasibility study, and in last year, January, they signed exclusive contract with us to supply them biomethane, which is 100,000 metric cube of biomethane per day to achieve the net zero. As you can see here, this project would decarbonize 3 sectors. It will decarbonize the feedstock industry, which is organic like palm oil or sugar. We capture methane there. We decarbonize palm sector. And the transportation, which is happening presently in diesel-driven trucks, we'll be using biomethane trucks, as my fellow speaker said in Brazil. Same thing is being done here. And we'll replace fossil fuel in Unilever. So entire 3 sectors. The feedstock industry will become decarbonized, the transport sector, and Unilever. As you can see, it's a complete circular economy with the net zero in all 3 aspects. No emissions here, and wonderful employment generation for every sector. You have 3.7 million tons of carbon credit generated here, and it's a win-win for every sector. And this is, as of now, Asia's largest decarbonizing industry in Asia right now. This is another first in Asia, paper industry. I think paper industry waste is also one of the big waste in Asia. I think probably in Brazil also could be one of the big potential. So we have done the Asia's first paper industry waste to biomethane. As you can see here, we are getting 99.5% pure biomethane with our own technology of patent. We mix with membrane and PSA so that you get extreme high pure biomethane, and the sulfur is almost zero, H2S is almost zero, I can see here. So with this technology, we achieve a very highest quality of biomethane, and almost zero sulfur in the system. And as you can see here, this is another sector opening up for paper industry to biomethane. These are some of the unique sectors, unique projects we have done in Asia. And this is another project in Malaysia, which is the largest in Malaysia. This project will be Asia's first bio-LNG and bio-hydrogen. So we already commissioned the first phase, and the second phase will be bio-LNG and bio-hydrogen, which we will export to Japan from here. And this is probably one of the wonderful projects which we can replicate in the rest of the Africa and also in other developing countries. In Malaysia is happening. 2 villages in Malaysia, the entire 2 villages will be getting a piped biomethane like any big city like Singapore or even, for example, New York. The first 2 villages in the world, all their homes will be getting piped biomethane so that the village will be carbon zero. No LPG will be used in 2 villages. It's happening in Malaysia, in Sarawak. So it is commissioned in next 2-3 months. It will be a role model for the entire world to replicate it so that all villages can be net zero. And some of we have so many projects we have done in Indonesia and Malaysia, all of our 18 countries we have done. And yes, thank you for the award yesterday. We got one of the best awards, we got it. It motivates our team. Thank you for this award. And thank you so much. Any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
So thank you all very much. Though I think it's been fantastic to see these extraordinary case studies of really impressive plants that are already happening or already realized in many cases in circumstances where we might have thought that the economics might be quite challenging, but obviously you've managed to do it in these plants, and there's clearly enormous potential still to come. So my first question, I'm sure you've all got lots of questions, but my first question would be, what were the key things that needed to be aligned for these plants to be realized? It's clearly there were partnerships with sort of bigger companies, Unilever, for example, that might have been providing an offtake example, but what were the key things that made these plants financially viable?
Well, in our case, we are more based in landfills, so our focus is in landfills. Landfills are normally close to the cities, right? And so for us, the logistics being so close in a radius of maybe 60 kilometers was very important for competitiveness. And in the case of this plant that we have in operation today, that landfill receives 11,000 tons of waste per day. So the scale was very important for us as well. This is for our case.
Okay, thank you. Can we just make sure that Shantanu is, can we see Shantanu as well to involve him in this?
Yeah, I'm there.
Brilliant, wonderful. We couldn't see you, now we can see you, Shantanu, that's great.
Yeah.
Any other?
And in our case, we are from sugar and sector. So we already have an industry that we crush 5 million tons of sugar cane, and we have filter cake and vinasse. That's some waste from this industry that have a very high potential to biogas. So when we understand the technology that can produce biogas from vinasse and as well from filter cake and can storage this filter cake in 12 months, we can deliver or guarantee 12 months contract in terms of biomethane. So we believe that the link between an industry that has a very high quantity of raw material, we can, together with biogas, converting our supply chain management better. So we believe that the scale up and also have the raw material available is a very important key issue.
Okay, excellent. Shantanu, do you want to add anything to that? It was the
Yeah,
question.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely, Charlotte. Yes, we have discussed a lot on this. Basically, India, if you see the country, we have a very spread out, the availability of the raw materials. That is number one. The agri biomass is plentifully available, but it is spread out. So collection, aggregation, and storage. These three are major issues because we do harvesting once in a year or maximum twice in a year. So you get the all aggregation collections in 1 month time, and then use that raw material for the year long. So the storage of biomass and the collection aggregation efficiency with the proper equipments like baler, record sets, and taking care of the inventory points. We have some lands for satellite depots. So that is one of the very first requirement of developing the ecosystem, which we are working on very closely with the government.
Okay.
Second part is the municipal waste, which is having a different types of challenge of segregation. Because as you know, it's an organic waste only is ultimately required for this. But generally, we are still in the mixed waste situations. And the disposals and all this mixed waste ultimately goes to the landfill, which becomes immensely, problematic for further segregations. And if you at all are going for a segregation, then there is a cost of energy. You have to spend more energy. So that is where the awareness of the citizens to have a segregated organic and the dry waste, this culture is required to be set in, which is a very essential for our country to really go for these prospects. And which action already started. And I'm hopeful that government is going to take more measures to implement that. That's what from my side.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shantanu. Now, you've all been sitting listening very attentively, so you must have some questions about these very exciting markets. So, who wants to go first? One here.
Oh, hi. Congratulations, the Brazilian team. Yeah, we are Brazil Urban Waste Association. We know very well about the Brazilian expertise in landfill exploitation of biogas. We are now thinking about even a Brazilian experience in anaerobic digestion using mixed waste. Yeah, that's the big challenge for all of us, as our colleague, professor from India, is talking about. So I would like to have some kind of opinion about the president of the Brazilian Association, the vice president. What are you thinking about this challenging to produce energy from biodigestion using mixed waste, as Brazil has this as a normal income waste? Please.
From municipal solid waste, you mean?
Yeah, for sure.
I think our colleague from India covered it. It's a trade-off between how much you want to spend not only on capex but energy to separate the waste, and how much more biogas and how better this biogas is going to be. How much better it's going to be as well if you put it through a digester instead of just putting it through the landfill directly. So there is already one project in Brazil that is operating with the separation of the mixed waste. It's very recent, but still in the initial phases. But there are other companies as well exploring this option. I think that, as if with anything else, it's a learning curve. It's the scale, it's the new technology. But the potential certainly is there, and we know that from a volume perspective and from a quality perspective and from even an environmental and social perspective, it would be much better if the waste could be separated beforehand, but that's not the case in Brazil. And the scale is very large. As Maurício mentioned, just one landfill in Rio de Janeiro receives 11,000 tons, and there are quite a few landfills of 10, 9, 6,000 tons a day. So, to pick and choose is impossible. You need this done in a very large scale.
To see if I could add something. Through one of our companies, ABiogas, we operate 47 biodigesters in the agribusiness today from swine manure. And what we're doing on the landfills is that we see the landfill as a biodigester, right? And what we are looking for, like Gabriel said, is to separate the recycling material and have just the organic material being delivered in the landfill. This will improve biogas production, and you know, that's our goal for the next phase.
Okay, thank you. It's just one remark. Sorry. Is the pilot project that you mentioned, Gabriel? If it's perhaps you could open, where is it located in Brazil?
It's in São Paulo.
Oh, it's in São Paulo.
In São Paulo, yeah.
Using the biodigester.
Yes.
Yes, Piracicaba, I mean, perhaps.
Sorry?
The Piracicaba one, is it from Gerson, the Piracicaba project, you mean?
No, this is from Horizon,
Horizon.
the previously known as Hashtag
Oh, okay,
in Paulínia. Yeah?
perfect. Thank you.
Hello, Ingrid. Also a question to the Brazilian team. You mentioned about the swine manure. What about poultry, as Brazil is the third largest poultry sector in the world?
We looked into that. We haven't had a chance yet to develop a project with poultry, but it's in our radar. You know, the challenges are different, right? We are here seeing a lot of opportunities with technologies, with biodigesters and so on. In the case of the swine manure, we had to do 7 different sites in the farm. And a lot of rejects, right? And so in the poultry, there is one production in Brazil where they transport all the waste to a single place, and they plan to do a biodigester there. Unfortunately, I don't have an update on what they are doing there on this plant, but for sure there's potential in Brazil.
Just to add on, I think we have done a few chicken manure projects in Asia. So I didn't show it because that is not so big. But we have done 70 tons of chicken manure in Nepal, the largest in probably you can say in Asia also. And one in India, small plants. But Nepal, we have done 2 big plants using chicken manure. Yes, the challenges are there, but we have addressed the problem. Nitrogen and ammonia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, we can get that done in Brazil if required. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
You're welcome to see the plants if you wish to chicken manure.
Same.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
We will.
Thank you.
Any other questions? One over there.
Manuel from Series Energy. It's not exactly about the AD sites, mostly the part after. So what are the markets like in Brazil or India for biomethane? And is there value for that green premium now, or do you need something to develop to bring that market there?
Can I comment?
Of course.
Sorry, I'm responding to everything, but that's a very good question. When we started dealing with the biomethane, we were positioned as competing with the natural gas market, and we changed completely the positioning of our product, and we stopped talking to the procurement department of the companies and started talking to the sustainability part of the companies, and showing them that using biomethane, they avoid having to purchase carbon credits. So we repositioned ourselves in terms of pricing completely, and we understand now that our product needs to be at least the price of the natural gas plus the avoided carbon credits for the end client. So today we have a lot more demand than we have offer in Brazil, and so it's looking good. So far, so good.
Any other questions? So if no other questions, then I would just like to thank Team Brazil for a fabulously exciting demonstration of what is possible in Brazil, and Team India likewise the same as what is possible in India and also wider field in Asia. So thank you all so much, and Shantanu too, joining us online. I think
Thank
it's been
you.
just so exciting to see just what is possible, and also the size of these potential markets. Thank you too for staying with us at this point, but let's thank our speakers.
Thank you.
So just lastly, to close our conference, this is now the last session for over the 2 days. I hope that you have enjoyed being here and learnt a lot, and that you go away inspired to do an awful lot more, because the opportunity is huge and the world needs us all to deliver. One final thought, it was fantastic that Jennifer Sara joined us from the World Bank. She has come away inspired and really understanding a lot more about what the potential of this industry is. And her final words to me were, I want to get this on the agenda for COP28. So you are going to be busy. So let's get prepared and try and squeeze in a bit of holiday before that busyness kicks in. But thank you so much for joining us all, and I wish you an excellent trip home and inspiration for what's to come. Thank you all very much.